Alright, topic 7.4 is area and volume of spheres, and this is kind of a fun way to end the chapter because the formulas are not that complicated. In fact, really all you have to really know is the radius. If you know the radius, you can solve these. So let's fill in some vocabulary. The great circle, that would be this dotted line right here. Think of a tennis ball. If you sliced a tennis ball in half into two different hemispheres, that cut that you made right at the exact halfway point of the sphere would be called the great circle. The radius is just from the center to the center point. The center to the edge, and then the center point is just the middle of the sphere. Let's write the formulas. The surface area formula, the surface area is the total area of the curved surface. That means like the outside of the sphere. And it's just 4 times pi times radius squared. And if you're doing volume, the volume formula is let's see how they write it on the formula chart. Yeah, 4/3 pi times r. And make sure you write this really well, 3 cubed. The area formula is the squared radius, and the volume is when you cube the radius. Make sure you don't forget that when you put it in your calculator. Let's try one with just the exact surface area. So we're going to use 4 times pi times radius squared. This would be 4 times pi times 4 squared. So that's 4 times pi times 16. Which 4 times 16 is 64. So the answer is 64 pi square centimeters. Alright. We'll move that up. Now we're going to do a volume one. Let's use the volume formula. 4/3 pi times, don't forget, radius cubed. This is 4/3 times pi times 18 cubed. And remember, when it says find the exact, we're going to leave the pi. I think I'm going to show you this one on the calculator. Type in 4 divided by 3, and then times 18, and then use the little button right here to, let me move this up. When you type it in and you want to cube something, you use this key and then a 3, and that'll cube the 18 times 18 times 18, I guess could be another way that you put it in there. The answer is 7,776, and it's centimeters cubed. Don't forget the pi, centimeters cubed. Example 3. Alright, notice that this time they want the diameter, so after we're going to have to do the radius first and then find the diameter. So to do this one, let's see. Oh, okay, for surface area, it's 4 pi times radius squared. If the diameter is 12, the radius is 6. So it's 6 squared. 4 times pi times 6 squared. So 4 times 36. 144. And it is centimeters, so it's square centimeters. Alright, to do the volume, it's 4/3 pi times r cubed. So it's 4/3 times pi times 6 cubed. And really you can put that in the calculator, it'll do it for you. It's 288 pi. Volume is cubic units, so put centimeters cubed. Alright, for example 4, this one's a little different because they're going to ask us to find the radius and the diameter and then find the surface area, but all they've given us is volume. So since they've given us the volume, we're going to have to use that formula. 4/3 pi r cubed. 4,000 pi, 4,000 thirds pi is my answer for my volume. Okay. Anytime you want to move a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. So, you know what, I think I'm going to show you. You can do this in the calculator with putting it in parentheses, but I'm going to put it in red. If you multiplied both sides by the reciprocal, 3/4, what happens on the side over here, you just get pi times r cubed. If you multiply this side by 3/4, the 3's end up canceling out, and 4 will go into 4,000 1,000 times. Now, I forgot to take out the pi, so let's divide out the pi. And do you see how you have r cubed equals 1,000? Now, if you want to figure out what r is, you're going to have to take the cube root of this. Now, to cube root a number, you want to figure out what you're multiplying your radius by. I mean, your r has to be multiplied by a factor 3 times. So let me show you where that is. If you push the math key and you go to number 4, see the little 3? It'll make a cubic. It's kind of hard to see on this screen, but if you put in the cube root of 1,000, it's 10, because 10 cubed is 1,000. So the radius cubed means my radius has to be 10, because 10 is what's being cubed. So that's my radius. If the radius is 10 units, the diameter is double that, so it's 20 units. To do surface area, let's put that formula in here. The surface area is 4 pi r squared. So it's 4 times pi times 10 squared. 10 squared is 100, so 100 times 4 is 400. That would be 400 pi. Square units for area. Alright, going to example 5. If the sphere has a surface area of 12 pi square units, find the radius, diameter, and volume. So this one's giving us area and wanting volume. So start with what you know. You know that the surface area is 4 times pi times radius squared. And we know that answer, so we're going to replace the capital S with 12 pi. 12 pi would equal 4 pi times r squared. Divide out the 4 pi. If you divide 4 pi on both sides, you're going to get the radius squared. And 4 divides by 12 3 times, and the pi's cancel out. Now, when you take the square root of 3, it's a decimal, so we're going to leave it in exact form. The radius would be the square root of 3. The diameter is just doubling that, so it'd be 2 of them. 2 times the square root of 3. To do the volume is kind of the trickier formula. It's 4/3 pi r cubed. And I'm going to show you how to cube the square root of 3. We'll do that in the calculator. I'm going to show you that. It's 4/3. We're going to leave it in terms of pi, but we are going to take the square root of 3 and cube it. Let me show you how to do that. And well, I think I'll go ahead and type it in as 4/3. 4/3 times, I'm going to use parentheses, the square root of 3 cubed. Notice I had to use a double set of parentheses to close the radical 3. Oh, it's going to be a fraction. Let me push math enter. No, that didn't work. Let's try, let's see. I guess we're just going to have to square. Oh, did I do this wrong? Volume 4/3 pi r cubed. Alright, I think I'm going to, let me try something. Square root of 3 cubed. Alright, we're going to leave, I think I want to leave this in radical form. If we multiplied just 2, let me show you something. I'm going to leave it in radical form because we don't want this decimal answer. This isn't really working. So watch. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 times square root of 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So if this part becomes 3, that's 3 times the square root of 3 times pi times 4/3. So it kind of makes the 3's cancel each other out. So really this is 4 square root of 3 pi. Kind of a crazy answer, but cubic units. It wasn't working in the calculator. I was not getting it. I was getting a decimal, and I don't want a decimal. I want to leave it in exact form. Come see me if that one was confusing. Alright. If the great circle of a sphere has a circumference of 32 pi, find the surface area. Now we haven't used this formula in a while, but the circumference formula is 2 pi r. So by knowing the circumference is 32 pi, we'll be able to get the radius. We need that to be able to solve area or volume. So if you divide out 2 pi, your radius here would be 16. Now we can do both surface area and volume. The surface area formula is 4 pi times radius squared, so it's 4 times pi times 16 squared. 16 squared times 4, that's 1024. So 1024 pi. Area, so it's square units. Volume, 4/3 pi times radius cubed. So it's 4/3 times pi. Now this is a big one, 16 cubed, and usually when you divide by 3 you're not going to get a terminating decimal. So let's just type in 4 times 16 cubed. Alright, I'm going to show it to you. This is a pretty big number. I don't know if this is showing up very good. There it is. Maybe better. Alright, the reason I did 4 times 16 cubed, this 3 is in the denominator, so I could see this as 4 pi times 16 cubed over 3. And kind of put all that in the numerator. So you end up with 16,384 thirds. See, watch. If I divide that by 3, it comes out to be a decimal. Well, you know, that's a repeating 3 means 1/3. So I think I will squeeze that in over here. You could write it as 5,461 1/3 pi. That's kind of a fun. They're both kind of funny answers, but I think I like the first one. I'm going to leave it a fraction. And volume is cubic units. So when you write your U for units, make sure you put cubic. Let me move that over a second. That's kind of hard to see what I wrote right above there. That's 5,000. Let me write it over here. 5,461 1/3. Really, either answer is fine. You can leave it in fraction form or the mixed number. That's the last section in chapter or unit 7. Come see me if you have any more questions.